Is this the power of a one-tribulation overlord? A one-tribulation overlord is actually so powerful. Although the sect master had become a demon, he was in the meditation realm after all. The move he used was also the ultimate technique of the Yenri sect. Power that erupted instinctively was stronger. But at this moment, facing Su Jingxing's attack, he could only retreat. Is this Overlord Kong really just a one-tribulation overlord? Dong Lai Wen was shocked. He even forgot to wonder why his sect master had become a demon. Roar! Yun Zhaoxian roared. This crazed person soared into the sky again. This time, a strange weapon suddenly appeared in its claw-like hand. As it soared into the sky, it suddenly threw it at Su Jingxing. In an instant, wherever the weapon passed, strange sizzling sounds quickly sounded. The airflow in the air was sliced apart. Woo! Woo! A crisp buzz exploded in the air as it flew towards Su Jingxing. It was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it was right in front of Su Jingxing. Su Jingxing growled and dodged. In the next moment, he released his divine power, command the winds and fire. Swish! 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 Hoo hoo hoo! Strong winds that filled the sky accompanied by scorching flames quickly formed in a few milliseconds. Then they gathered and stacked, forming a scorching storm that swept through the sky. At an extreme speed, they attacked Yun Zhaoxian. Swish! 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 A shrill sound of air breaking tore through the air. The winds and fire that transformed into a flaming storm passed through the air like a meteor shower. They surrounded Yun Zhaoxian in a net. At first glance, Yun Zhaoxian was like a ray of light in the night sky that had attracted countless flying butterflies. Everywhere the flaming storm passed, it bloomed with dazzling light, like a rain of flowers in the air. The scene was shocking and the visual impact was strong. Yun Zhaoxian, who was in the center of the storm, suffered terrifying lethality. The strange weapon was the first to shatter and disintegrate in the flaming storm. Then, it was Yun Zhaoxian himself who was crazily besieged. Clang! 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 The ring of metal clashing sounded in the air and spread in all directions. Roar! Yun Zhaoxian roared. His eyes shot out blood-colored pillars of light. As he roared, his body freakishly began to expand. With strange cracking sounds, it grew from 1.8 meters tall to 3 meters tall. In an instant, a violent, bloodthirsty, dead, and cold fearsome aura was released from his body and filled the sky and ground, turning it into a bloody and bleak battlefield. Boom! With a loud bang, the flaming storm was broken by the terrifying force and disintegrated. The divine power, command the winds and fire, was actually defeated. For the first time, the divine power was broken. Roar! The snarl shook the sky. Like an evil beast, Yun Zhaoxian turned into a ray of blood light and pounced towards Su Jingxing at lightning speed. Su Jingxing dodged through the air, and Yun Zhaoxian followed suit. Seeing this, Su Jingxing decisively mobilized all the strength in his body, gathered it in his hands, and struck out. Boom! Boom! An intense explosion reverberated through the air. The giant palm imprint appeared out of thin air in the dazzling blood-colored light. Boom! There was an earth-shattering bang. Countless shockwaves overlapped in an instant. A frightening force tore through space and transformed into a ray of divine light that charged towards Yun Zhaoxian like a meteor. Pooh! Ah! Yun Zhaoxian opened his mouth, and blood spurted out. The domineering and violent force struck Yun Zhaoxian and he lost his mobility and crashed straight to the ground. While midair, he exploded. Card +1. Huff, huff, huff. Panting heavily, his body enveloped in mist. Su Jingxing stood in midair. Clusters of hot air were released from his body and wrapped around his body, filling the sky and ground. Although Yun Zhaoxian had just broken through to the meditation realm, his strength was real. Su Jingxing had relied on the strength of a two-tribulation overlord to kill him. If Yun Zhaoxian wasn't possessed and knew pain and fear, killing him wouldn't be so troublesome. However, Yun Zhaoxian had entered Qi deviation, so it was difficult for Su Jingxing to kill him. Fortunately, the duration of the two-tribulation overlord card had not passed. Otherwise, Su Jingxing would have had no choice but to retreat. I wonder what card I extracted after killing this fellow. Su Jingxing was not in a good position to bring it out, but his primordial spirit on Earth Star had no scruples. It took out the newly extracted card from the soul space and read the information. An equipment card, containing a heavenly Dao crystal. Heavenly Dao crystals. Yun Zhaoxian actually obtained heavenly Dao crystals. Is this a pleasant surprise? Su Jingxing was surprised, but his expression remained unchanged. Killing Yun Zhaoxian and obtaining a heavenly Dao crystal was worth the overlord card. Su Jingxing thought to himself and put away the card. On the ground. Dong Lai Wen's eyes widened as he stared blankly at Yun Zhaoxian's shattered corpse. Dead. The sect master in the meditation realm, the sect master who had become a demon for some reason had actually died just like that. Forcefully destroyed. Is this Kong Xian really just a one-tribulation overlord? And not the three tribulations? Dong Lai Wen's breathing became heavier. His chest rose and fell. After a while, his consciousness returned and he barely regained his composure. Swoosh! Pushing off the ground, Dong Lai Wen flew into the air and thanked Su Jingxing stiffly. Thank you, Overlord Kong, for exterminating the demon for the Yen sect. I'm forever grateful. The moment these words left his mouth, Dong Lai Wen felt awkward again. Su Jingxing did kill a demon, but this demon was the sect master of the Yen sect, and Dong Lai Wen was an elder of the sect. Shaking his head calmly, Su Jingxing said, Elder Dong Lai, you're too polite. There's no need to thank me. On the other hand, we have to figure out what happened to your sect as soon as possible. Is your sect master the only one who has become a demon, or are there more? We have to get this clear as quickly as possible. Yes. Let's get to the bottom of what happened at the sect first. Dong Lai Wen nodded with a grim expression. With that, he flew towards the entrance of the sect. Su Jingxing followed closely behind. The two of them entered the mountain range one behind the other. Flying in the air, they patrolled the ground. The first thing he saw was the archway of the mountain gate. On the mountain path, there were corpses. With Dong Lai Wen and Su Jingxing's vision, they could still see the exact situation of these corpses clearly while flying in the air. Mummies. Every corpse was a mummy. They were drained of essence energy, blood, and soul, leaving only withered bones curled up in uniforms of the same style. Without a doubt, these people were all disciples of the Yen sect. However, at this moment, they had all turned into dried corpses. Su Jingxing's eyes flashed as he took in the sight. When Dong Lai Wen saw this, his face was filled with sorrow and tears flowed uncontrollably. Dead, they're all dead, they're all dead. He murmured as he flew through the air. Along the way, all he saw was mummies. There were more than 10,000 people stationed in the sect, and all of them had turned into mummies. Who was the murderer? Yun Zhaoxian. For some reason, the sect master of the Yen sect had become a demon and killed everyone in the sect, turning them into mummies. After this battle, Yen sect's position of the number one sect could no longer be secured. Even though Dong Lai Wen and the elders left outside had escaped the calamity, saving Yen sect from going extinct, it was already impossible for the sect to rule this world like before. Su Jingxing didn't know the strength of the other sects in this world. However, some things were common no matter the location. When a tiger on a mountain dies, other carnivores, regardless of their size, would pounce on it and take a bite. The Yen sect used to rule over the world. Now that their main force had been wiped out, would the other sects in this world watch on indifferently and allow Dong Lai Wen and the others to continue developing? Impossible. Putting everything else aside, just the Datong dynasty alone would definitely throw themselves over and take a bite. If they did not take this opportunity to leave the control of the Yenri sect, the imperial family of the Datong dynasty would be fools. The emperor might be a fool. After all, fools could easily become puppets. However, the Datong imperial family definitely weren't. Now, all was left was to see how long the news of the collapse of the sect and the destruction of its main force could be concealed. If Su Jingxing hadn't had that earth-shattering battle with Yun Zhaoxian, hiding the news for 3 to 5 months wouldn't be a problem. After all, not everyone could enter the doors of Yenri sect. Dong Lai Wen could find an excuse to close the sect for a year and a half. No one else would suspect anything. Unfortunately, the battle that shattered space and collapsed mountains had alarmed countless people. At this moment it was unknown how many people were rushing towards the Yenri sect from all directions. Was Dong Lai Wen aware of this situation? Of course he was. However, there was nothing he could do to stop it. It was too late to conceal things. Firstly, the defensive array formation was already broken and would take several days to repair. Secondly, Su Jingxing was still around. The dozen of devils outside had also seen what happened. If he wanted to hide it, he had to kill Su Jingxing first. Besides, even if he paid a huge price to ask Su Jingxing to help conceal the matter, he wouldn't be able to stop others from investigating. Finally, the thing that Dong Lai Wen wanted to know the most right now was to figure out why Yun Zhaoxian had become a demon. Driven by this motivation, Dong Lai Wen couldn't care less about anything else. He released his divine consciousness and scanned the ground. Seeing this, Su Jingxing did not stand on ceremony and released his spiritual martial arts divine consciousness to search for possible abnormalities. The two of them separated and each chose an area in Yenri's sect to search in. Moments later, Su Jingxing's spiritual martial arts divine consciousness suddenly touched a strange mental fluctuation. Here. Without hesitation, Su Jingxing shouted in Dong Lai Wen's direction. Swoosh! Swoosh! The sound of rushing wind could be heard as Dong Lai Wen rushed over from afar. Where? Where? What is it? Dong Lai Wen asked anxiously. I don't know what it is, but it's very strange. You should have sensed its fluctuations. Su Jingxing raised his eyebrows and pointed at a mountain peak below. He said in a low voice, there's something clearly abnormal about this mountain. Inya Peak. Dong Lai Wen was stunned. Then, he gritted his teeth and said, it's Inya Peak, the back mountain of where Yun Zhaoxian lives. That B***** Yun Zhaoxian really did something terrifying. Swoosh! With that, Dong Lai Wen charged towards the ground at lightning speed and descended on Inya Peak. Yun Zhaoxian had killed everyone in the sect. All Dong Lai Wen had for him now was resentment, so why would he still address him as sect master? Swoosh! Su Jingxing followed and descended on the mountain peak. He continued to release his spiritual martial arts divine consciousness to scan the mountain, from the top to the foot. Dong Lai Wen did the same. Finally, the two of them entered an underground cave. 100 meters deep underground, there was a spacious stone chamber. There weren't many things in the stone chamber. There were strange patterns engraved on the ground that seemed to be an array formation or a sacrificial pattern. Su Jingxing scanned the entire area with his spiritual martial arts divine consciousness. In a few moments, he found the location of the strange fluctuation. Boom! Dong Lai Wen also found it after scanning. He struck a wall with his palm and created a huge hole. Inside the cave, in another spacious stone room, a mirror that was half the height of a person, oval-shaped, and wrapped in black vines floated in the air. It was silent and motionless. There was clearly no light in the stone chamber, but Su Jingxing and Yun Zhaoxian could clearly see the shape of the mirror and the patterns on it. Strange patterns flashed swiftly across the seemingly smooth and bright mirror surface. When Su Jingxing looked over, his mind buzzed from the impact of an invisible force. A voice called out from the depths of his mind. Come here, I can satisfy all your wishes. Don't you want to know? Come here. Come here. Go my ass. Su Jingxing suddenly snapped back to his senses. His spiritual martial arts divine consciousness returned and killed the tempting voice in his mind. In his vision, Dong Lai Wen swayed as he walked towards the stone room, muttering about revenge. Affected? Shocked, Su Jingxing decisively took a few steps forward, grabbed Dong Lai Wen, and ran towards the entrance they came from. Don't leave. I was wrong, I didn't mean to. Don't you want me anymore? Get lost. Su Jingxing growled and his spiritual martial arts divine consciousness swept through his mind, strangling the heretic mental power that had invaded his mind. Humph. The seductive voice immediately changed. It said coldly, can you escape? Su Jingxing ignored it and flew quickly. I told you, you can't escape. The cold voice in his mind intensified. A frightening mental power instantly surged into Su Jingxing's mind. Su Jingxing controlled his spiritual martial arts divine consciousness to resist and kill it. A silent contest immediately began. His spiritual martial arts divine consciousness was like a brave and skilled dragon, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws as it soared in the void of his consciousness. The evil mental power was like countless demons and devils pouncing from all directions and biting the dragon. Su Jingxing fought mentally as he flew. The giant dragon tore apart the monsters one by one, but more monsters pounced on it and clung onto it. There were so many of them that it couldn't shake them off. D***M it. Su Jingxing cursed inwardly and quickly took out the red dragon reverse scale, trying to trigger the might of the dragon left on it. Pooh! A loud dragon's roar sounded in his mind. A real red dragon phantom appeared and intercepted the demons and monsters, pouncing over to bite and devour them. Su Jingxing took the opportunity to escape. He rushed out of the underground space with the struggling Dong Lai Wen and returned to the surface. Without stopping, Su Jingxing charged into the sky and flew into the distance. He only put away the red dragon reverse scale when he was far away from Inya Peak and the heretic power in his mind had completely disappeared. Whew! He exhaled and calmed his breathing. Su Jingxing sat on a rock to recover his energy. That was close, he almost fell for it. Yun Zhaoxian had become a demon and killed everyone in the sect. The truth, as they found, was expected. A mirror. A demonic mirror that came out of nowhere caused Yun Zhaoxian to lose control and become a puppet. Dong Lai Wen had no way of resisting this demonic mirror. He was struck in one move. Su Jingxing managed to hold on for a while because of his spiritual martial arts divine consciousness, but it wouldn't be easy for him to escape. Spiritual martial arts divine consciousness was much stronger than the divine consciousness of a venerable in the meditation realm of the divine martial arts system. No wonder Yun Zhaoxian couldn't hold on even after breaking through and turned into a half-demon. Huff, huff. How could this be? How could this be? Asked the stunned Dong Lai Wen. He finally came back to his senses. His pale face was filled with lingering fear. He trembled and said, "What kind of mirror is that? Where did Yun Zhaoxian get it? What does he want? What the F***ck is he up to?" Dong Lai Wen growled in shock and anger. Su Jingxing remained silent. The corrosion of the demonic mirror was too powerful. No one knew where Yun Zhaoxian got it from. Hold on. Suddenly, Su Jingxing thought of something and said, "Elder Dong Lai, this demonic mirror was trapped in the stone chamber previously. Now that there's a huge hole in the stone chamber, will it escape?" He was stunned. That's right, the stone chamber was previously intact, so the demonic mirror could not leave. Now that he had punched a hole in the stone chamber, would the demonic mirror still remain there? What should we do? At the thought of the horror, Dong Lai Wen stuttered, should we go back? Su Jingxing pondered for a moment. There's no problem with going back, but can you restrain the demonic mirror when we get back? In any case, I can't. Elder Dong Lai, can you? As if he could. If it weren't for Su Jingxing, he would have fallen and become a puppet of the demonic mirror. Neither can I. Sighing in frustration, Dong Lai Wen asked helplessly, but if we don't go back, what if the demonic mirror escapes? No. Su Jingxing's eyes flickered as he pondered. This demonic mirror is a little strange. Perhaps I was wrong just now. Perhaps it has already left and escaped the underground cave, but it's also possible that it's still in the stone chamber. What do you mean? Dong Lai Wen was curious. Simple. This demon mirror might only have soul power and not physical mobility. Su Jingxing analyzed, if that's the case, it can explain why it tried to get us to move close to it. After all, if the demonic mirror was really incomparably powerful and had the ability to escape, it would have already come out the moment you broke the stone wall, Elder Dong Lai. It wouldn't have corroded our soul and consciousness and instructed us to move over. That's right. Dong Lai Wen was enlightened. If the demonic mirror wants to move, it needs the help of others. That's why it corroded us and tried to control us. That's it. Su Jingxing clapped his hands and said excitedly, according to this analysis, the demonic mirror is still in the stone room. It can't leave. It doesn't matter whether we return or not. Of course, if the demonic mirror can move, it would be even more useless for us to return. Moreover, if I'm not mistaken, the demonic mirror has already escaped. Well, Dong Lai Wen pondered. Seeing this, Su Jingxing chuckled and said, why? You only feel at ease if you want to go back and take a look, Elder Dong Lai. Yes. Dong Lai Wen looked determined. He gritted his teeth and said, I'll be worried if I don't take a look. That works too. Su Jingxing nodded. Go ahead, Elder Dong Lai. I'll wait for you here. Dong Lai Wen's expression froze. He did want to go back and take a look, but the problem was, what if he fell again? The demonic mirror was too strange. One look and he would get affected by it. Without Su Jingxing by his side, Dong Lai Wen might not be able to return. Of course, this had nothing to do with Su Jingxing to begin with. Su Jingxing was just passing by their world. Whether the Yenri sect was destroyed or not had nothing to do with him. Dong Lai Wen had no reason or courage to ask Su Jingxing to go back again. With this in mind, Dong Lai Wen sighed, he gritted his teeth and said, Overlord Kong, if I don't return, please go to Sword King's city to look for my senior brother. His name is Ning Bue. Tell him about what happened here. Please. As a token of gratitude, under the cliff 5 miles to the right of Inya Peak is a treasure vault of the Yenri sect. You can take whatever you want from it. Sure. Su Jingxing did not stand on ceremony and agreed. Thank you. Dong Lai Wen thanked him again. Then, he turned around and walked back. This concerned the future safety of the Yenri sect. He had to verify if the demonic mirror was still in the underground cave. Su Jingxing didn't move as he watched Dong Lai Wen disappear from his sight. In the next moment, he executed the divine light projection technique to monitor the movements below Inya Peak. Soon, Dong Lai Wen's figure appeared in the projection. This elder carefully entered the cave and went deep underground. Su Jingxing controlled the projection to follow his movements. When Dong Lai Wen entered the underground space, he glanced at the stone chamber from afar, then quickly retreated and broke into a run. He didn't know if the demon mirror was still around, but he wasn't affected. This time, perhaps because he was prepared, he moved very quickly. Or perhaps, Dong Lai Wen had seen the demonic mirror, but due to the distance, the demonic mirror could not affect him, which was why he left. In short, the outcome would only be known after Dong Lai Wen returned. Through the projection, Su Jingxing saw Dong Lai Wen swiftly flying towards him after asking about the surface. Immediately, he retracted the divine light projection and waited for Dong Lai Wen to arrive. Swoosh! Swoosh! With the sound of rushing wind, Dong Lai Wen flew back to Su Jingxing excitedly. Overlord Kong, the demonic mirror is still here. I took a look at it and wasn't affected. It must be because the distance limited its ability. Ha ha ha, fortunately, this demonic mirror isn't invincible. Dong Lai Wen shared excitedly. The demonic mirror only corroded one's mind at close range in the underground space. As long as the hole was sealed and no one was allowed to go down, the demonic mirror would be useless. This was good news among the bad news. Of course, as long as the demonic mirror existed, the threat would always exist. If he wanted to completely shake off the demonic mirror, he would have to think of other ways. However, the situation was stable for now. After reporting the situation to Su Jingxing, Dong Lai Wen rushed back to Inya Peak without stopping and sealed the entrance of the underground cave. Su Jingxing tactfully did not ask for payment. Since Dong Lai Wen was back, the matter of retrieving treasures from the treasure trove was naturally put on hold. Of course, if Su Jingxing really asked for them, Dong Lai Wen could only accept it. The sect master who had become a demon had been defeated by Su Jingxing. How could Dong Lai Wen, a fourth realm expert, be a match for him? Dong Lai Wen was mentally prepared for Su Jingxing to speak. However, Su Jingxing did not take advantage of the situation. Instead, Dong Lai Wen himself could not take it anymore. Since Su Jingxing refused to speak, he went to Su Jingxing himself and invited him to take his pick from the treasury vault. No matter what, Su Jingxing had killed a great demon, even if this demon was the sect master of the Yenri sect, Dong Lai Wen had to show some gratitude. Together with the encounter with the demonic mirror this time where Dong Lai Wen almost fell for its tricks. Be it for business or personal, Dong Lai had to repay the favor. Su Jingxing wouldn't force such matters, but if Dong Lai Wen insisted on giving it to him, Su Jingxing wouldn't stand on ceremony either. Following Dong Lai Wen, he went to the treasury vault and picked out a few items. Among them were a few teleportation array discs. In fact, Su Jingxing wanted the heavenly Tao crystals the most, but such treasures were pitifully rare. He was already lucky to be able to extract them from the sect master of the Yenri sect. Although the other pills, spirit weapons, martial arts, and spirit herbs were not bad, they were of limited help to Su Jingxing currently. As such, Su Jingxing didn't pick too many items, even though Dong Lai kept persuading him to take more. Su Jingxing declined politely. Of course, after leaving the treasury vault, Su Jingxing wanted to restore the teleportation array as soon as possible. Dong Lai Wen readily agreed. Although the most important thing now was to gather the scattered disciples of the Yenri sect and consolidate their strength to resist the attacks from other factions. Sending Su Jingxing away was also very important. Even though Su Jingxing was very friendly and had no intention of taking advantage of the situation. Su Jingxing's strength was obvious. He was clearly a top powerhouse, no one was his match. Dong Lai Wen didn't dare to take the risk that Su Jingxing would suddenly change his mind and destroy the Yenri sect. Therefore, the safest way was to repair the teleportation array and send Su Jingxing away. For this, Dong Lai Wen gathered a portion of his men and immediately threw themselves into the task of repairing the teleportation array. The members of the Yenri sect who were summoned back were confused at first. After listening to Dong Lai Wen's account of what happened, especially when they learned that Su Jingxing had defeated the sect master who had become a demon, they immediately shut up. Even the sect master in the meditation realm was no match for Su Jingxing. They really didn't dare to take the risk. Hence, the number of people repairing the teleportation array immediately exceeded the number of people guarding the sect. Seeing this, Su Jingxing chuckled but did not disturb them. Dong Lai Wen and the remaining people of the Yenri sect were wary of him. Su Jingxing could understand that, so he did not expose them. The more people there were repairing the teleportation array, the sooner he could leave. Su Jingxing couldn't wait for them to carry on day and night. Of course. No matter how he rushed, the effective duration of the Overlord card finally expired. Su Jingxing returned to the One Tribulation Overlord realm. Without comparison, there would be no harm. When the Overlord card was still in effect, the surging power that filled his entire body could explode the void with a single move. Su Jingxing was somewhat disappointed that such a powerful force had suddenly disappeared. Compared to a Two Tribulation Overlord, a One Tribulation Overlord was at least 3 times weaker. However, the Overlord card was rare. The best way to regain the power of a Two Tribulation Overlord was for Su Jingxing to make another breakthrough and truly advance to the Two Tribulation realm. The last time he broke through was because he unlocked 500 black body cards. Could he also rely on the black body card to make another breakthrough? Su Jingxing narrowed his eyes in thought. He now had 7,346 black body cards. With so many black body cards, there should be a certain chance of triggering another lightning tribulation, right? Su Jingxing had a feeling that it was still feasible to trigger the void lightning tribulation using the black body card. This instinct was very strong. The problem was that triggering the void lightning tribulation was only the first step. Successfully transcending the tribulation was the key. If he failed the tribulation, Su Jingxing's main body would be completely destroyed. The last time, he was unprepared. He had relied on the primordial spirit to forcefully hold on using his will and willpower. If he were to transcend the tribulation again, how much would he be able to endure? Su Jingxing couldn't guarantee that. His physical body might be able to withstand the cleansing of the void divine thunder, but if his consciousness was destroyed, it would still be useless and he would die. Therefore, the key was still the primordial spirit. At this thought, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit stopped reading the memory cards. Most of the information in these memory cards was useless or not of much use. They were basically just to broaden Su Jingxing's horizons. After all, the memory cards from the various races and their experiences formed a travelogue. And they were personal experiences. They were great to watch as stories to broaden his horizons. When he was free, he would unlock them and entertain himself. Now that he needed the help of the primordial spirit, he naturally had no time to look at it again. To make Su Jingxing's primordial spirit stronger, the fastest way was to consume the spirit-gathering pills and heaven essence pills. Coincidentally, he had obtained 5,201 mystic soul cards and 8,109 soul separation cards. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit immediately unlocked all the mystic soul cards and soul separation cards and swallowed the heaven essence pills and spirit gathering pills that it had obtained. Before doing so, it took out the deduction card and deduced the supreme profound soul refining mantra to try to complete this ultimate technique. There were 2 remaining deduction cards from before, and he had obtained 26 new ones. This time, he would go all out for his deduction. In the end, he used 27 of 28 deduction cards to complete the deduction of the Supreme Profound Soul Refining Mantra. Su Jingxing had already cultivated the incomplete Supreme Profound Soul Refining Mantra to the advanced level. Now that it was complete, Su Jingxing was naturally unwilling for it to remain that way. He took out the remaining 386 martial arts practice cards and unlocked them one by one to cultivate quickly. In the end, he used 302 martial arts practice cards and a total of 5,000 years to successfully master the Supreme Profound Soul Refining Mantra to the peak of perfection. This was the complete version of the Supreme Profound Soul Refining Mantra cultivated to the peak of perfection. The effects of tempering the primordial spirit could be said to be as fast as a rocket compared to before. At this moment, as he swallowed the heaven essence pills and the spirit gathering pills, he circulated the Supreme Profound Soul Refining Mantra. The primordial spirit's divine consciousness quickly strengthened, and the primordial spirit soared rapidly. With enough energy, powerful divine arts, and safety, Su Jingxing continuously circulated the supreme profound soul-refining mantra to temper his primordial spirit. The power of the primordial spirit quickly increased. The expanding power caused the primordial spirit body to transform 7 times. At the 8th transformation, Su Jingxing sensed something and began to forge his soul platform. With his previous experience and now ample soul power for consumption this time. After a day and night, the primordial spirit's own soul platform was finally formed. Moreover, after the soul platform was completed, a ray of divine light was released immediately. When all the heaven essence pills and spirit gathering pills were exhausted and the supreme profound soul refining mantra stopped, the soul platform emitted 3 beams of divine light. According to the level categorization of the soul platform realm, Su Jingxing's primordial spirit would advance from the primordial spirit to the 3rd class of the soul platform realm in 3 days. The completion of this step surprised and delighted Su Jingxing. The primordial spirit's will and divine consciousness of a martial artist in the 3rd class of the soul platform realm would probably enough to support the cleansing of the physical body's lightning tribulation. With this in mind, the Tang Dynasty. Su Jingxing went deep into the desolate mountain and found a nameless valley. He first released his spiritual martial arts divine consciousness to scan his surroundings to make sure that there were no threats. Then, he took out all the true essence cards, true energy cards, and internal force cards he had accumulated during this period of time. He converted without stopping and finally turned them into spiritual essence through vast ocean, allowing his cultivation to reach 800 years. Increasing his cultivation level was more to increase his chances of successfully transcending the tribulation. After that, Su Jingxing took out the black body cards and unlocked them to strengthen his spiritual martial body. There was no reaction from the first 100 or 200 cards. A stir only appeared when 600 cards were used. With 700 cards, the stir grew, and with 800 cards, finally affected the entire body. Every cell in his spiritual martial arts body began to vibrate again. 1,000 cards, the vibration frequency increased. 1,500 cards, muscles and bones also shook. 3,000 cards, the fluctuations from the vibration were visible to the naked eye. 4,000 cards. The spiritual martial arts body quickly alternated between being corporeal and illusory, vibrating so much that it was invisible to the naked eye. 5,000 cards. Boom. 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 3 loud bangs suddenly sounded. In the sky above the nameless valley, 3 thick bolts of lightning suddenly descended from the sky, destroying the clouds and splitting the void, striking Su Jingxing hard. Boom. 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 Thunder shook the sky and lightning tore through the air. In the valley, as expected, the space where Su Jingxing's body was collapsed again, revealing the endless dark void behind it. More than 10 thin purple lightning bolts emerged from the void and struck Su Jingxing. With the experience of transcending a tribulation, Su Jingxing did not panic this time. Roar. The Dharma characteristic, giant riding the dragon, was activated and circled around Su Jingxing's main body. 800 years of spiritual essence cultivation was also mobilized as he executed the firmament nirvana palm to strike the void divine thunder head-on. Boom! 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 A deafening sound reverberated through the sky. As Su Jingxing counterattacked, he controlled his spiritual martial arts body to withstand the cleansing of the void divine thunder that descended on his body. Just like last time, he was washed, cleansed, adjusted, and transformed from head to toe. Boom! Boom! At the top of the sky, loud bangs spread in all directions. Terrifying lightning and thunder filled the sky and ground, gathering within a radius of 10,000 meters around the nameless valley. The suppression from the void divine thunder that was comparable to the destruction of the world caused all living beings within a radius of thousands of miles to tremble from the soul. The deterrence and lethality of the second void lightning tribulation was more than 3 times stronger than the first. At this moment, a loud bang that seemed to tear the sky apart filled the sky and ground, echoing in the ears of countless living beings. Even though Su Jingxing was without a protector, no one dared to approach him. The power of the void divine thunder was enough to shatter a fifth realm devil king alive. Yet Su Jingxing had withstood it. Boom! 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 The air trembled. The might of the firmament nirvana palm was pushed to the extreme. The giant riding the dragon dharma characteristic was roaring, neutralizing the waves of void divine thunder. Buzz buzz buzz. Su Jingxing's spiritual body trembled non-stop as he endured the final cleansing of the void divine power. Just like last time, his spiritual martial arts divine consciousness was also tempered, but his consciousness remained. Again, Su Jingxing was numb. In the next moment, the primordial spirit was fighting to the end. Boom! 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 Divine lightning and thunder surged out of the endless void and struck Su Jingxing one after another. Finally, the number of divine lightning bolts decreased. From dense to sparse, until it completely disappeared. The collapsed space around him automatically recovered. Su Jingxing's spiritual martial arts body bloomed with light. His body, which was completely naked, sat upright in the sand. He slowly opened his eyes, which were shining. Success! He succeeded again. Through the persistence of the primordial spirit, the spiritual martial arts body successfully transcended the void lightning tribulation again and advanced to become a two-tribulation overlord. 500 black body cards triggered the first void lightning tribulation. 5,000 black body cards triggered the second void lightning tribulation. Would the third void lightning tribulation require 50,000 black body cards? Su Jingxing pondered as he sensed the familiar surge of power in his body. 500 black body cards to become Aune Tribulation Overlord, 5,000 black body cards to become a two-tribulation overlord. According to this pattern, to become a three-tribulation overlord, he would need at least 50,000 black body cards. The black body card was essentially extracted from lifeforms with powerful physiques. With ordinary races, they had to at least be in the third realm. As such, it was not easy to gather 50,000 black body cards. Of course, even if he managed to gather them, Su Jingxing wouldn't dare to attempt the three-tribulation overlord realm again. If the primordial spirits could not keep up, triggering the void lightning tribulation would be courting death. At this thought, Su Jingxing suppressed his racing heart and took a deep breath to calm himself down. He stood up and took out a spare set of clothes to put on before familiarizing himself with the power of a two-tribulation overlord. When he felt that it was about time, he soared into the air and flew towards the Yenri sect to look for Dong Lai Wen. What? Overlord Kong, you want to see the demonic mirror again? After learning the reason for his visit, Dong Lai Wen asked with wide eyes, No, you've already seen how powerful the demonic mirror is. Why are you still taking the risk? Dong Lai Wen couldn't understand. Su Jingxing was almost tricked by it in the underground space as well. The demonic mirror was extremely dangerous. If one was not careful, they would become a puppet. Is Kong Xian out of his mind? He actually wants to see it again. The array formation is about to be repaired. I want to see it again before I leave. Su Jingxing explained softly. He couldn't possibly say that the last time, his two-tribulation overlord power only targeted his physical body and his spiritual martial arts divine consciousness didn't become stronger. However, things were different now. After successfully transcending the tribulation, his spiritual martial arts divine consciousness had also transformed and reached a new level. Only by becoming stronger would Su Jingxing have the confidence to test the demonic mirror again. Although this demonic mirror with an unknown background was dangerous, Su Jingxing's intuition told him that if he could defeat it in a battle of souls, he would benefit greatly. If he could subdue the demonic mirror, his gains would be even greater. For this, Su Jingxing decisively went to Dong Lai Wen, deciding to give it a try. With the red dragon reverse scale in hand, even if he was no match for the demonic mirror, he could still retreat calmly. Well. After listening, Dong Lai Wen thought for a moment and nodded. All right, I'll come with you. Sure. Su Jingxing glanced at Dong Lai Wen, not exposing his intentions. He was coming to see the demonic mirror together. This was because he was afraid that Su Jingxing would tamper with it and take it away. Even if this thought seemed unimaginable to Dong Lai Wen. To be honest, the demonic mirror was indeed a great treasure. However, because it could not be controlled, it became a huge danger. Suppressing his pounding heart, Dong Lai Wen took a deep breath and led the way. Su Jingxing followed behind slowly. During this period of time, Su Jingxing had been cultivating to break through to become a two-tribulation overlord. Meanwhile, Dong Lai Wen and the remaining disciples of the Yenri sect were extremely busy. They had many matters to attend to without end. Bloody conflicts happened every day. There were even a few in the sect. This had Dong Lai Wen and the other elders on their feet every day. Su Jingxing wanted to see the mirror, and Dong Lai Wen to follow and supervise him. He had given himself half a day off. The two of them went deep into the cave. With Dong Lai Wen leading the way, they directly returned to Inya Peak and opened the sealed entrance to the underground space. After opening the entrance, they scanned the surroundings with their divine consciousnesses to make sure that no one was paying attention. Dong Lai Wen continued to lead the way and walked into the passageway. Su Jingxing fell behind as they returned to the underground space. I won't go to the demonic mirror. Dong Lai stopped in his tracks and looked in the direction of the stone chamber. He said warily, Overlord Kong, you must be careful when you go over. If you sense that something is wrong, run back immediately. I'll meet you here. All right, thank you in advance. Su Jingxing nodded. After that, he flew towards the stone room where the demonic mirror was. The moment he got close, the seductive voice sounded in his ears again. Come on, come on. I'm already here. Su Jingxing shouted in his heart and released his spiritual martial arts divine consciousness. As he resisted the special fluctuations released by the demonic mirror, he approached the stone room step by step. The moment he stepped into the stone chamber. Whoosh! The scene before his eyes suddenly lit up, and the scenery changed drastically. In his vision, a strange world with a dark sky and dark clouds that covered an incomparably vast land with grayish-white mist floating everywhere entered his mind. An illusion? Su Jingxing was secretly surprised, but his expression remained unchanged. At this moment, he was conscious and realized that his vision was not seen through his eyes, but through his will. He sized himself up. He was not a spiritual martial arts body either, but a manifestation of spiritual martial arts divine consciousness. Neither an illusion nor an interference of the soul. Coupled with his divine consciousness manifestation, Su Jingxing instantly understood what was going on. The internal space of the demonic mirror. At this moment, he had transformed into his spiritual martial arts divine consciousness and entered the demonic mirror's world. The scene before him could be said to be real, but it was inside the demonic mirror. A unique space. After withstanding the interference of the demonic mirror, the divine consciousness manifestation could actually enter the internal space. This demonic mirror is getting more and more interesting. Su Jingxing calmed himself down and did not retreat. Instead, he controlled his spiritual martial arts divine consciousness manifestation to move around. Who? The dark sky was like a huge, endless gauze net that covered the entire land. In the sky, layers of clouds that emitted a strange purple glow sometimes gathered and sometimes dispersed. Under the dark sky, they bared fangs and brandished claws, changing into all kinds of strange and shocking shapes. Rip! Woo woo! A strange resembling a ghost crying echoed in the dark sky. As Su Jingxing's spiritual martial arts divine consciousness transformed into a manifestation, he kept seeing streaks of black and red lightning that were as thick as giant trees intertwining. At times, they condensed, and at times, they scattered in the purple clouds, slithering like long snakes. The dark red ground beneath his feet stretched as far as the eye could see. On his right was a desolate wilderness, and on his left was a large forest with strange colors. It was dark and mysterious, and grey mist spread everywhere in the forest, floating and moving. Rustle. A breeze blew, bringing with it a rustling sound that spread in all directions under the dark sky. Suddenly, Su Jingxing stopped in his tracks and looked at a tree trunk not far away. Over there, a group of thin, 3-meter-long strange creatures with hideous faces, a pair of sharp claws beneath their stomachs, blood-colored wings on their backs, and pale bodies were lying quietly. They looked 70% similar to bats. When Su Jingxing looked over, the dark green eyes of these bat monsters also discovered his divine consciousness manifestation. In an instant. Hiss. 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 A sharp, hoarse cry containing a trace of excitement immediately sounded in the air. The bat monsters' cold and greedy gazes were fixed on Su Jingxing. Monsters in the demonic mirror. Su Jingxing was surprised. Whoosh! A strange sound. The group of bat monsters lying on the trees suddenly flapped their wings and flew towards Su Jingxing. After coming over, they did not attack immediately. Instead, they circled around Su Jingxing's head. Materialized saliva flowed out from the corners of their mouths. It was indeed rare for a pure soul life form to drool. Su Jingxing was not afraid. He sensed a trace of threat from these bat monsters, but not much, so he was in no hurry to make a move. While maintaining a standoff with them, he scanned his surroundings to make sure that there were no other species lying in ambush. Until... Screech! 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 The group of bat monsters that were flying in the air suddenly let out a sharp scream and dropped downwards. Whoosh! 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 They were very fast. Their huge mouths opened, revealing countless sharp fangs that descended on Su Jingxing's head under the pale white light. Hoo! Strong winds blew against his face and shook his soul. In an instant, Su Jingxing's spiritual martial arts divine consciousness manifestation was momentarily dazed. The giant bat monsters did not stop during this process. The sharp claws tore through the air and quickly approached with a ringing sound. Their movements were as fast as a shadow. Su Jingxing's spiritual martial arts divine consciousness manifestation was dazed for only half a second before it regained consciousness. Su Jingxing, who was already prepared and tense, had been watching the movements of this group of bat monsters. Now that they were all pouncing down, Su Jingxing controlled his spiritual martial arts divine consciousness manifestation to first sprint quickly to avoid the attacks, then fly towards the wilderness on the right to attract all the bat monsters to move towards the empty area on the right. Whoosh! 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 After increasing his speed and putting some distance between them, he condensed his soul power, turned around, and released waves of energy into the sky. Chi! 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 Energy swept out like sword energy tearing through the air. With a thunderous force, as if it had eyes, it charged straight towards the faces of the bat monsters that were chasing after him. PLKCH. 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 It was so fast that the giant bat monsters that were flying in front could not dodge in time and were struck on the spot. Their huge bodies were torn apart and turned into a pale white mist that disappeared. Card +7. Seeing this, the bat monsters behind agilely dodged to the sides. When Su Jingxing's soul power energy pierced through the air again, they disappeared on the spot as if they had teleported. They retreated dozens of meters at an even faster speed than when they rushed over and charged into the sky. Then, pairs of cold and greedy eyes stared at Su Jingxing warily. Come down! Su Jingxing shouted into the air. His heart was filled with bewilderment. Cards could actually be extracted from these bat monsters after they died. Whoosh! The remaining bat monsters flapped their wings and circled around. They did not pounce on Su Jingxing again, nor did they leave. They didn't seem to take Su Jingxing's provocation seriously. Until... bang! Bang! Suddenly, all the bat monsters let out sharp cries and released terrifying sound waves that tore through the air, causing a huge explosion on the spot. Su Jingxing's heart skipped a beat and he dodged at lightning speed. With a flash, the sound waves struck the ground, forcefully plowing and creating a crack that was dozens of meters long and more than 2 meters deep. The surrounding ground shook non-stop. Hiss! Hiss! In the air, the giant bat monsters saw this and stared at Su Jingxing coldly. Similarly, Su Jingxing did not let down his guard against these bat monsters. Putting aside how powerful the giant bats' attacks were, just their speed alone was extraordinary. If Su Jingxing hadn't been prepared, he would have been struck. However, it wasn't a good thing for a person and a group of monsters to be in a standoff. The giant bat monsters were clearly unwilling to leave just like that. They stared at Su Jingxing and circled in the air, opening their bloody mouths and constantly letting out low snarls. Targeted me, huh? Su Jingxing's eyes flashed. He had the intention of exterminating these bat monsters. At this moment, all the bat monsters suddenly let out shrill cries and teleported crazily towards Su Jingxing at a terrifying speed much faster than before. With a whoosh, they tore through the air and descended. They were extremely fast, like bolts of lightning. In almost the blink of an eye, they were in front of Su Jingxing. At this moment, Su Jingxing could feel his heart stopping. Roar! All the bat monsters roared together, and a close-range sound wave attack covered Su Jingxing. Buzz! A light membrane appeared on the surface of Su Jingxing's spiritual martial arts divine consciousness manifestation to neutralize the sound wave attack. At the same time, he condensed his soul power. In a flash, sword energy-like forces bloomed and swept around his body. Swish! 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 PLKCH! 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 Sword energy tore through the air. One after another, the giant bat monsters were sliced into several pieces. Although they were fast as their bodies kept leaping, as they moved, they were still sliced by the sword energy one by one and died on the spot. Card plus 12. The extraction notification flashed past. All the giant bat monsters were killed. Only then did Su Jingxing relax slightly. He sensed his surroundings and made sure that no other monsters were approaching before taking out the cards through his primordial spirit on Earth Star and read the information. Curse card, mental demon card, curse card, mental demon card. After these giant bat monsters died, the cards extracted were either curse cards or mental demon cards. As the name suggested, the curse card was a curse spell. Once unlocked, it could be directly used on the target. What to pay attention to was that the soul targeted by the curse could be struck silently. As for how the curse would apply, the card did not introduce it in detail. Su Jingxing's primordial spirit scanned through them. There were actually many types. Mental breakdown, soul separation, soul pollution, soul mutation. There were even some that spread from the soul to the physical body, causing slow decomposition. Even martial artists in the life void realm might not be able to neutralize this power, let alone those in the cloud ascension realm. Su Jingxing checked the curse cards one by one and put them away in satisfaction. As for the mental demon card, it could also be seen from its name that it could produce mental demons. Be it the heavenly race or the divine race, as long as they were not demons, the mental demon card could be used on them. Of course, the best time to use the mental demon card was when the other party was cultivating. At this time, the power of the mental demon card could be unleashed to the maximum. A mental demon would be born with a thought without being sensed. For martial artists in the divine martial arts systems whose transformation of their primordial spirit is incomplete, they might not be able to withstand even if they're in the grotto heaven realm. Even if they do discover it, they might not necessarily be able to get rid of it. Inner demons were the hardest to break to begin with, let alone targeted invasions. As such, these two cards were of great help to Su Jingxing. Su Jingxing put them away in satisfaction before continuing on his way. There must be more strange existences in this world besides the bat monsters. In other corners, there should be.